Alright, so today, about 6 hours ago, Zach dropped the Blue Flame archetype, and today we'll just be reacting to that. Alright, it's me from the future here, and in the title I decided as I was making some edits to the video, I decided that calling these cards hot trash is like a fun play on words for the title, just to clarify, like, they're not actually hot trash, they're just bad, like, they're not disastrous, like, the changes. There's some pretty easy changes to be made to make them, like, super competitive and stuff. But yeah, just wanted to pop in here from the future to just clarify they're not hot trash. So I'll be doing a bit out of order to his reveal because I think it's easier for me to explain that way. But first of all, I want to have a look at the Dying Flame, which is like the key card to the archetype. So it's a permanent resource. I'll just see if I can go back here. It should be good. Yeah, so it's a permanent resource. Once per turn, you can free play one of your killed Sheos creatures, which has 10 health. And if it's still zoned at the end of your turn, you get to kill. Kill that creature. So basically, um, the cards in the archetype, they all have 10 health. So you bring one of them back and then kill it at the end of your turn, which is good because you're getting it for free, so you're applying good pressure that turn. But then, since players usually have two creature zones, then you'll probably only have one zoned creature on your opponent's turn. So there'll be some turns where you can't use this card's effect because it makes you a bit too vulnerable, which is fine. Like, the card's still good, I think, when it's not being used every turn. The issue is that I see with it is there's cards that can kill it or negate it, and if they do, that seems really bad. Uh, so and since it's the Undying Blue Flame, it's meant to be undying. So I know it seems cringe. Like on other cards it might be cringe, but thematically, imagine you play an Undying Blue Flame and the next turn it just dies. Like that's not cool. So I think something you could do here is literally make it say this card cannot be affected by your opponent's card effects, and that way it's still not undying, like you can kill it with your own things, but it's not going to get negated, it's not going to get killed by the opponent's things, and that's actually undying, and it's actually something the opponent has to, like, be scared of and play differently to play around rather than just play something to kill it, right? Um, so yeah, this card is good how it is. It's probably average how it is, but if to make it good, you literally just chuck a line of text at the bottom. This card can be affected by like the opponent's card effects, and then I think it goes from mid to really, really good, and a good focal point for the archetype because this card is the focal point, and it's hard to have a focal point that gets like literally made useless, like really easily. Like lots of decks play Serpent. There's two popular Polysium decks right now, and you can easily side like Calamask, which is very splashable. Grok Comet, sorry, is a good card as well, and you can side that in very easily. So the next card we'll be looking at is the Searcher. So this is 230 power, which is good. It's not like out of this world. Like it's not. Oh, but it's probably like average, I'd say. Like it's not bad. It's not good. It's gonna kill most things smaller than it, but it might struggle up trading a bit. And basically, it says after this creature attacks and is still on your planet after the attack, add one Galaxy Blue Flame card to your hand. So it's a good searcher. Um, it's a bit like the other card we had here, the Undying Blue Flame, where it's good, but it's not really taking that next step to be great. To do that, you can probably buff its power to like 280 or swap its power with one of the other creatures to something over 270 because there's two cards right now, Darkspark and Beast of the Conjurers, two very popular 6 stars that are very strong in the early game. And this card's also strongest in the early game since you want to get it searching as soon as possible to get your combo set up as soon as possible. So this card will be going up against Darksparks and Beast of the Conjurers in the early game, and it won't be able to kill them, unfortunately. And so to make that a bit easier and give that a niche in Sheos, because currently those two cards are very popular because there's no deck that has the niche over them where they die immediately. So a lot of the time, you're either using Darkspark to kill them back, which is pretty boring, using the same card to kill the same card that's in every deck. Um, there's like no deck that can uptrade into them effectively. They all have to use like KOs or two card combos or something more expensive. So since Sheos is like the high power aggressive planet, I think it's good for them to have something like this that can uptrade into them. Um, Having said that, it's not necessary, and same as the next thing I'm going to suggest. So you could also make this card on cost play. It just makes it a little bit more flexible. What you can do with it. Again, that's not necessary. Like the card's still good how it is. Um, and unlike the Undying Blue Flame, it doesn't need those two changes. Uh, but they would help a lot. Just give that small like 1% type buff sort of thing. Um, so yeah, this card is fine how it is. I'd be happy if it released like this. The Undying Blue Flame is going to need that buff for the deck to be any good. And next we're going to go into like the win condition type thing. So we got Jackruff. First of all, this art, potentially unpopular opinion, it's my favorite by far. The other art's like sick, like really really cool, better than most stuff he's released. So don't get me wrong, like so cool, but this one, like to me, it just sticks out and it's like sick. So 370 power, really good swings for 4 points. It's gonna kill most things, but it can't kill the high end, which is fine. It's a 5 star. Its job isn't killing the super high end with its power. Um, but its effect can help with this, which gives it a good bonus, helping to uptrade a bit. So once per turn, you can return one of your other zoned blue flame cards to your galaxy to shuffle one other zone card into its owner's galaxy. So that might sound a bit confusing, but you shuffle one of your other blue flame cards. So if you've got one on your field, you put that back into your deck, shuffle it, and then you target one of your opponent's cards, put that back into their deck, and shuffle it. Um, so this card, what it's doing is actually really good. So the shuffling an opponent's card is usually better than killing it, especially right now with like Sorcerer, Abomination Tomb, those things running around, even Bone Ladder. So that's really good. The issue I have is triggering its effect. So obviously the one that stands out is the Undying Blue Flame. That's not actually undying. Like that, you can use its effect, get a guy out for free, and then shuffle it back into your deck, and then pop something. But it's a little bit inconsistent is all. And I think because what you're doing, that shuffling thing's really really good. You just want to make that the trigger a little bit easier, and I think you could make it any one of your zoned 4 star or lower Sheos cards. So that opens it up a bunch because there's a bunch of good Sheos cards right now. Fraxel, Mags, Sheos in Lava Mole. Oh, what else? Scoria Carrier. Uh, there's a new squads coming out. There's lots of good like 4 star or lower that 4 star or lower Sheos cards that are good. Um, so this just opens up the targets way more. And there's combos like let's say you go Jackra and play Mag Sprout for free, and then you've got a nice just 5 star removal and a body, which is pretty good. You've got Scoria Carrier, so you'll be paying 9 stars, but you get to draw a card and then kill Scoria, or sorry, shuffle Scoria. So there's just some combos with that I think make it way more consistent and way better. Because right now, unfortunately, the card isn't great competitively. It's just a bit slow um, to get going. Like the other two have been decent. If I mean, sorry, the other two have been good. If the Undying Blue Flame becomes Undying, but this is just a bit too slow to have to rely on two other creatures because that's all they have in the archetype. Um, but if it gets the change, any 4 star or lower creature, I think it goes from bad to really, really good. Like this card will become, I think, really, really strong in Sheos, which I think is something they need. Because right now, the issue for Sheos, they're good with board, they're good with cards because of Sheos's effect, obviously. They struggle with damage a bit. Damage is definitely one of the biggest issues. Damage and stars, I'd say, is their biggest issue. So if this can tick off the damage box, and stars is like a weakness. Every planet's gonna have weaknesses. Um, but yeah, if this can tick off the damage box, because it's obviously hitting for 4 points and removal on one card, I think it's really good, but it's held back because obviously it needs a 2 card combo. It's not something like a Pearl Fan where it's 1 card removal and points. So I think that's really like a really, really good change for it. I think it takes from bad to great. And then lastly, this card. So this has the stats I was talking about that I wanted to see on Largy. I think it's called Largy. Yeah, Largy. Um, so the 290 obviously very good. Dark Spark and Beast of the Conjurers. I've talked about that before. How they're super commonly played. So this is good because it kills them. Even though I'd want it swapped because that's the card you want early. Um, its effect after this zone creature is killed or galaxied by a card ability, you gain 1 point. So a lot of people have been hating on the effect. I actually like the effect. Um, it's good to get back like maybe those final 3 points. It might just help uh, across the game to maybe you only need 16 or 17 points instead of 20. But I don't think it should be like an appeal of the card. It should be like a passive thing that it does if you happen to bring it back. Um, like most of the time, it's just a vanilla, unfortunately. So I would like to see it get a small other effect, like just one line is all. Just something to help with zones or stars a bit, because currently the deck's issue I see is zone and stars, because you sort of do want that third creature zone to help when your creature dies at the end of your turn and still have a strong board. And I think running lots of 4 stars as well, you're only gaining 4 stars a turn, so it might be hard to advance or create any sort of advantage. Um, so think you could give this uh, a few things, like an extra 1/9, like just gain some stars, or gain some stars when this happens, or like when this happens, you can even gain like a zone or something. You could also just make it after this zone creature is killed. Um, Oh, there seems to be wording issue as well. After this zoned or galaxied creature is killed. Yeah. So Zach will have to fix that up. Um, Pretty sure. So after this zone, sorry, it's not that. It should be easy. After this zoned or galaxy, there we go. After this zone or galaxied creature is killed by card ability, you gain 1 point and 1 star, or 1 point and 2 stars. I personally prefer the 2 star option. I've talked to some other people, and they think 2 stars could be a little too strong. But I'm really not concerned about making this archetype like a bit over the top. Shape Knights look very promising. Polysium's very good right now. Cinder's very good right now. Gaios has its things going. Like there's so many strong decks right now that the power level has to be upped a bit, I'd say. And right now, Sheos just isn't up to scratch. Alright, and I've actually got this graph here that I made just for fun, but it actually relates a bit. So it's every grand final appearance a planet has made since September 2021, and the last time Sheos made a grand final was September 2021. It was a deck that only played 2 Sheos creatures, which was Graviathax, and it spammed them over and over, and it was really unpopular to play against. Um, since Graviathax on its own is fine, but when it's being spammed like 6, 7, 8 times a game, it's ripping cards out of your hand, which isn't fun. And in general, it was pretty skillless and boring. So, like, if you want to get technical about it, Shears really hasn't had a deck ever that's been competitively viable, which is unfortunate because it's not my favorite planet, but it's still sick, right? Like, fire and all that's cool thematically, and going aggro, being aggressive and stuff like that's cool. I love to see that in the game. And I'm not even a Shears fan. There's Shears fans out there who've never been able to bring their planet to a tournament and have success with it. And I think right now it's sort of not up to scratch to be able to bring it to a tournament and have success. I don't think you'd be able to get a top 4 finish, which it's fine. Like not every deck has to be making top 4s consistently. That's how formats and cards work. But I think since Shios has never had that ability, um, I think it's fine to buffer right now and give it that ability to start making top 3s, maybe even win a few tournaments. It would be different if it was like Sindel cards being released. I'd be fine if they weren't too strong because Sindel, as you can see here, it's got 10 appearances. Same with Gaius, 11 appearances. Even like Polysium, 4 appearances. Like I'd be fine if those like decks or planets, I suppose, weren't as competitively viable because they've had their chance to shine. But Shios has never shined before, which I think is really disappointing because it's a really popular planet card. I actually might do a poll and release it soon, just seeing what you guys' favorite planets are, because that's just got me curious just then. But yeah, just back on the archetype, not where it needs to be competitively, but there's like some very minimal changes that can be made. So I'll just run back over them real quick. So this card's changes I would make and changes that need to be made. So the changes that need to be made for it to be competitive is Undying Blue Flame needs to be actually undying. This card needs to be easier to play. I think a good way to make it easier to be its effect to be used is make it 4 star low 4 star or lower Shios creature. I think that's a great way. And it still fits within the archetype because obviously the other two are 4 stars. And it works with generic Shios cards as well. This card needs yeah, I'd say needs just a extra thing to be doing sort of. And this card doesn't need anything, but it would be nice if its power could be swapped with the other guy potentially. Um So I think they're the only necessary changes, and obviously this last one is just like a preference thing. I think it would help, but it's not necessary at all. And I think we'll just go check out the squads. I believe there was maybe a squads. Yeah, there was. Okay. So the squads are 40 power, 130 health after this creature is killed by an opponent's attack, as all squads are. It starts with that. Free play one of your killed creatures that comes from your planet card and has less than 120 health. So this is the only card that I haven't seen yet. I actually closed the video a bit short. I think literally as he um heard him say something about the squads. I think I closed out. So if we go to health, is it 120 or less health? We'll see what it can get back. Because yeah, as I said, I haven't really thought about this card. So not sticks. That's a combiner. Roback's a good target, but you may as well get the Jack Rock card if it gets a buff. Um, Nothing really there. Fraxel's good. That'd be good to get back. Is it 120 or? Yeah. Okay, so FaceTime, like you could create a colloquial FaceTime deck. Obviously, it gets back the dropper squads, which is also good. So, like FaceTime, Fraxel, dropper squads seem good. Um, Not much here, because there's like good cards, like Gla, which is a good card, but you probably just won't get it back because you usually run 2 Gla and 2 Guigs, so you don't really need the third Gla. Warriors is a good card. Not sure you'd get it back, because it might just die that turn. Lightning Swords would be really, really good with it. Imagine that. You have to kill this guy and you go into Lightning Swords. So that seems good. It's cool that it's got synergy with the Squasses. Nothing much here. Sheos in Lavamore's good, but same with Warriors, it might just die that turn, which is fine to like force out multiple attacks from the opponent, especially with one creature boards. Skellies works with Skellies. Again, they might just die that turn, so you might not get to use them when you bring them back. Nothing much here. Oh, I suppose this is good. Oh, it's on cosplay. Okay. Tribites seems pretty good to get back. It's not being played right now competitively, but seems decent. Darkstone Beasts could be decent. And Whacking Man as well. So yeah, there's some good targets, for sure. It's one of those cards that I think uh over time, or like sorry, just randomly it'll be played in a deck. Like you wouldn't build a deck around this card. You wouldn't really probably build a deck with the intention of playing this card. But you might see, oh, I've got lots of creatures with 120 or less health that have good on death effects or provide some good board presence when this card dies, and then this card will be played in the deck. So it's not like an outstanding card that's going to take over the world or like be the central focus of a deck, but it might just slot into random decks. Not even like Sheos decks. Like it could just be slotted into a random other planet that has lots of 120 or lower health creatures, which is fine, right? That's what the droplet squads. I mean, sorry, that's what the squads are doing right now. You see droplet squads be played a lot. You see lightning squads splashed around a bit. So yeah, I think that's completely fine. So that's the archetype. Overall, again, it's a bit disappointing. Cindy was really cool, and I was hoping Sheos would be sort of the same. But luckily, the issues with the deck aren't too bad. Like the issues are really easy to fix. It's like probably 2 sentences, 2, 3, something like that. Um, they just need to be adjusted a bit. Also, I noticed that at the start, like his video. I'm not sure if it's just me. Maybe I haven't been keeping up or paying too much attention, but his video quality seems so much more uh like cleaner. Like the way he transitions from each idea, and the visuals is so good. Um, yeah, I just noticed that at the start he was like it was really like it flowed really cleanly. Unlike my video where I'm like yeah, but yeah, I think that's it. Just the art's sick, just a little bit disappointing because I don't think they're great. Peace.